delivered from Zen2G Researcher Zukan. Hello, I am Nipio. Let's start the Researcher Zukan. In this program, I introduce you researchers in various fields from all over the universe every day. Today's researcher is Professor Don CARROLL.
Glad to meet you. My name is Mr. Carroll, Mr. Don CARROLL from Shikoku University.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Glad you could have come to the office.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Carroll's key phrase are these three. Okay, first key phrase is conversation analysis. Could you explain this key phrase?
Okay. Conversation analysis is looking at how people organize conversation. So what are the rules of conversation? Conversation as a social act.
Social?
So we're more interested in social interaction than grammar. So we're not interested in grammar, we're interested in interaction.
Yes.
So really, instead of conversation analysis, we could say interaction analysis.
Oh, interaction
is really the same thing. So conversation analysis, interaction analysis.
Not talk analysis.
Really, talk is one part. I'm interested in talking, but I'm also interested in bodies. I'm interested in the environment. So maybe everything together. So we can say conversation, but we could also say interaction. Everything with interaction.
Okay. How do you research?
The basic pattern is you get your recorder, usually a video recorder. You video record people having natural conversation. For example, people sitting at a dinner table, eating dinner and talking. Or maybe people working together. So natural conversation. After you do the natural conversation, after you have it on the tape, then you take it back to your computer, you watch it on the computer, and you make a transcript. This is kind of like a paper description of the conversation, kind of like a dialogue. But you write very, very small details like silences, sound stretches, everything. If you can hear it, you have to put it into the transcript. So for example, think of like samui. 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 It's three ways to say it. I would have to write it three different ways to get all the details of how you say it. Okay, so the next step is to make the transcript. So the video, then the transcript, then we look at the transcript and try to find patterns. What do real people do? So this is maybe different than traditional linguistics, where linguists think about, like, what do you think Japanese people do? That comes from here. From my research, it comes from the tape. So we're not interested in what people think they say. We're interested in what they really say. And that's maybe a big difference. Sometimes it's surprising. Like if I say, for example, can I ask you a question? I think, what comes next? After I say, can I ask you a question? What comes next? Most people would say a question. Most English teachers will say a question. They're wrong.
Oh, really?
After may I ask you a question, you don't get a question next. And that's a surprising result. But we get that result from looking at real conversation. What people do is like, can I ask you a question? Sure, okay. Well, yesterday I was talking with my friend and he said, and they talked for a long time. And then maybe at the end, maybe a question comes. But first, they tell you a story. May I ask you a question? Sure, story. That's what people really do. And we discovered this by looking at tapes of real conversation. So, I suppose that's one of the things I like about my research. It lets me discover how people really talk. And maybe also that Japanese people maybe talk the same way as English people. You use different grammar, you use different things, but maybe we both do interaction the same way. Your interaction, my interaction, Russian interaction, Swahili interaction. It's maybe all the same interaction, just different language. You use Japanese, I use English, but our patterns of interaction are maybe universal. So that's kind of something exciting.
That's very interesting.
I've lived in 7 different countries, and I've traveled in 40 different countries. And my impression is that most people are the same. You say Arabs, Mexicans, Japanese, Russians, Kenyans, really all the same human beings. They act the same way, but they simply have a different surface. So your Japanese surface, my American surface, but underneath it's actually just the same. So.
Very interesting. This key phrase means real conversation analysis.
Yeah, I would say that's a good way. It's a real conversation analysis.
Okay, let's move to second key phrase.
Okay.
Second language education.
Okay. Now, in many ways, I'm a language teacher. You could say I'm a professor, but really, my job is a language teacher. I've been a language teacher for 25 years. I started teaching in the United States, and then I moved to Saudi Arabia, and I taught soldiers in Saudi Arabia. I taught them medical technology. Then I moved to Kuwait, and I taught business English and banking English and sort of commercial English at the university there. Then I moved to Oman, the Sultanate of Oman, and I was there for 7 years. And there I taught English for science. So like English for chemistry, English for engineering, English for physics, English for biology. And then from there I moved to Mexico and taught English in Mexico. And now I've been in Japan for about 10 years. So my interest is how can we best teach language? So, second language education, what are the methodologies for teaching language? What is language? And how can we teach it? So my own interests are in language as a social phenomena. So that's really, I don't think of it as a set of linguistics rules, I set it as social practices. So when I teach language, I want to teach language as social practices.
Social practice.
Social practice, like, again, maybe the same as the ways you stand in an elevator, or the ways that you walk through a supermarket. When you walk through a crowded supermarket, how do you walk so that you avoid the other people, so you don't hit the other people? Maybe language is, again, a kind of something we use every day. It's part of our life. So language is life.
Language is life.
That's a simple way of saying it. Life is language. Would be the other way to say it. Like today, maybe you didn't go dancing. Today, maybe you didn't go to the bank. But every day, you speak. Every day of your life, you speak. It's almost impossible to live life without language. So in that way, language really is life. Okay.
It's a second key phrase. Sorry. What is the important this key phrase?
I think the importance is that more and more in the world today, people need to speak multiple languages. There was a time in the past where it was okay to just speak one language.
Yes.
But in the world today, everyone needs to speak 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 other languages. And in fact, most people in the world do speak 2 languages. Of course, we're having this interview in English. You obviously are bilingual, English and Japanese. I speak several other languages. I do speak German and Spanish. I can speak some Arabic, a little bit of Japanese, some Russian. But language education will become more and more important. You know, as we're a smaller and smaller world and we have to talk to each other, we need to be able to learn languages quickly and easily.
Yes. Oh, I think so. But I can't speak English very well now.
I don't know. You're doing pretty well so far. Much better than my Japanese. I've been in Japan for 10 years now, and my Japanese is still quite small.
Is the Japanese difficult?
Well, my feeling is that all languages are equally difficult. There are no difficult languages. There are no easy languages. All languages are the same, but they're difficult in different places. So English is difficult in one place. Japanese is difficult in another place. Spanish is difficult in its own way. So each language has easy parts and difficult parts. Mostly I think I don't know much Japanese because I'm lazy.
And Japanese is a part of the conversation.
Actually, I also do Japanese conversation analysis. So when I work with students, often they record Japanese conversations, and then they transcribe Japanese conversations, and we look for that. Actually the ways that people do Japanese conversation and the ways they do English conversation are very much the same. So for example, if I said, "Samui," what would you say?
Samui.
So typically the same thing. I say "Samui" and you go, "Ah, samui." Well, this is the same pattern that we have in English. If I say, "It's cold," you say, "Yeah, it's cold." So it's the same pattern. I say a word, you repeat the word. And this is the way we agree. But in language textbooks, that's not the way they teach students to agree. Like in New Horizon or Sunshine, if they say, "It's cold," I think so too. But that's really wrong. People don't actually say, "I think so too." They say, "It's cold." Yeah, it's cold. It's hot. Yeah, it's really hot. That's the way we really do conversations. So the textbooks are incorrect. Many, perhaps most textbooks are incorrect.
Well, that's real conversation.
Right, so we want to take real conversation and bring it into second language education.
Okay, let's move to third key phrase.
Okay.
Third key phrase is cultural studies.
Okay.
Cultural studies. Okay.
So again, I'm interested in people being able to communicate with each other and people from different cultures. So how is Japanese culture the same and how is it different, for example, from Arab culture? When Japanese businessmen go to Dubai, how can they interact with Arab businessmen? Are there different rules for Japanese businessmen and Arab businessmen? So I'm interested in what is the same in different cultures and what is different in different cultures. I like to say that cultures are like nabe.
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 Japanese.
You say if you think of nabe, you say, what do you make? How do you make nabe? You say, okay, maybe you have onions, and maybe you have meat, and maybe you have some fish soup, or you have all these ingredients. And there's nothing special about the ingredients. I can buy the ingredients for nabe in many, many countries. But when we put those things together, they make Japanese nabe. So I think Japanese culture is lots of little pieces. And each piece by itself is perhaps not unique. But all of the pieces together are unique. In fact, I'll reach over here for a moment. This is Japan. This is Japan in a box. Inside the box, I have some little things that are part of Japanese culture. Okay, this is part of Japanese culture. So this is somehow part of Japanese culture.
Chopsticks.
And those maybe seem surprising, but perhaps also this is part of Japanese culture. So the bento box. And perhaps even the mechanical pencil is in some ways part of Japanese culture. But the question is how? How do these things... Like this is perhaps an interesting example. Here, I'll have to put those things in there. Now think of this as a cultural object. In Japan, you wear this to protect other people. That is, if I'm sick, I wear a mask to protect you. But in other cultures, perhaps in the United States, I wear this to protect me. You're sick, I don't want your sickness to come and get me. So the mask is to protect me. But in Japan, this is to protect other people. So there's an interesting story to this. So what we're looking for is what are the pieces of culture? And how do those pieces fit together? Back down.
It's
culture studies, So we look at world culture, world religions, world, well, even things like geography. How can weather affect a culture? Is the Japanese culture the way it is because of the weather that Japan has? Maybe some part.
Okay. Thank you. It's time to go now.
Okay. Thank you very much. I enjoyed meeting you, and
I was very interested. Thank you.
Okay.
That's it for today's Researchers Gun. See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.